Check, mic check. Check, mic check. Check, mic check. Check, mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Testing, 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 testing. All right, that sounds perfect. I had to get that. Love and Light family, this is the Satrilrose coming at you guys with another exclusive video. We're going to be leading with passion, knowledge, logic, and wisdom. Man, it feels amazing to be able to be back and to really just touch on this particular topic, man. I'm really looking forward to, having this conversation, man, and just really just talking about, the aspects of who we are as individuals, man. This particular conversation and this particular topic is very, very near and dear to my heart. And it's something that I really wanted to talk, that I've been wanting to talk about for a while, actually. So I pray that I'm able to execute and translate the message promptly and be in a space to where, we can actually understand what we're up against right now and what we're speaking about. Because I feel as though that this particular topic, it has affected us as well, in a sense, but we're definitely going to touch on that, man. So without further ado, man, again, this is the Satrilrose, man. And as far as my spiritual services, if you guys would like to receive any of my spiritual services, whether it be spiritual coaching, divination, or any of my spell workings, please, you can find me at the Satrilrose on Instagram at the Satrilrose. My business email is satrilrose@gmail.com, as well as TikTok at the Satrilrose. Again, the Satrilrose on Instagram, as well as TikTok. And I will have my website in the description if you guys would like to actually check out my website. You guys gotta excuse me, man. And it's crazy because speaking on this particular topic, it kind of has me a little, I don't want to say on edge, but it's like, it is a topic that can be very, very heavy to a certain degree, especially with everything that I've experienced in my personal life and my personal relationship with self. You know what I'm saying? So really, like, man, I really just want to dive right into it and just really just touch on this, right? So when we speak about the aspect of being divine masculine or divine feminine, right? This is an individual who understands their divinity, right? Not because you meditate or not because you know what I'm saying, you're earthly or whatever case may be. It's all based off of the anointing and the calling that you have, and you've answered that call. You know what I'm saying? And as individuals, as men and women, we are both divine masculine. We both have aspects of masculine as well as feminine, right? And we have to understand that we are both multidimensional in that sense. We are both multidimensional in that sense, and we have to understand that. You know what I'm saying? Especially as men, I feel as though that's something that, and I can say for myself, that's something that we can kind of struggle with to a certain extent, tapping into that feminine aspect of self. You You know what I'm saying? And then it's like when you see guys who are in that space, not to speak too much about that, but as far as the manosphere, that aspect, or that particular, how can I put it, community, or whatever the case may be, or that particular space, they'll look at that as as anything other than straight. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be called all kinds of things other than being a man. When you tap into your feminine aspect, when you tap into that feminine aspect of self. And I have to be honest, like that way of thinking can be toxic. That way of thinking can be toxic, because you're cutting yourself off. You're cutting yourself off from that emotional aspect of self. Right? You're cutting yourself off from that emotional aspect of self, and that's not healthy, man. That's not, truth be told, it's not. And again, like I said, I can say for myself in my own personal life, in my own personal experiences that I've had, where I wasn't connected to, or I tried to disconnect myself emotionally. It never worked out for me. It never worked out for me. To try to disconnect yourself, in that sense, it's never gonna work. It's never gonna work. It's never gonna work out the way that you think it is. You get what I'm saying? Because that's what comes with it. That's what comes with being in this reality, right? And being in a space to where you're able to connect with self on an emotional frequency, right? Being able to connect with self on an emotional level, and not cutting off that tether, you're able to control your emotions. It seems as though that when you're in this space of, and I hate to use this term, I really hate to use this particular term, the whole toxic masculinity, right? Because if anything, it represents that you have no masculinity. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, being in a space to where you've cut off that tether, and you don't know how to control, you haven't trained or built that muscle to control your emotions. That's not masculine. And to be in a space to where you cut off your emotions, that's actually a feminine trait within itself. That's actually a feminine trait, because it takes discipline. It takes discipline, and it takes confidence to control that aspect of self. Right? It takes confidence to control that aspect of self. And I'm gonna take it a step further, man. And if I'm being honest with you, like, I'm in this space to where it's like I don't really care, what opinions, individuals have, because I know that this is gonna ruffle some feathers. But I would even go as far as to say that, you're not a man. You're not a man if you haven't connected with that aspect of self. That shit isn't masculine. Like, it's genuinely, to me, it's not masculine, because it's and I'm gonna speak as far as our community, as Black men. As Black men, how many of our daughters have we hurt? Shit, how many of our sons have we hurt? Right? How many women, how many victims have we created by being disconnected from this energy? How many victims have we created by being so disconnected from this energy? You know? But on the flip side, I want to talk about our women, right? And I understand that a lot of Black women are put in a space to where they have to be masculine. A lot of our women have grown up and were raised to be masculine. And every day you hear individuals talk about on the internet and bash women for being masculine. Right? Take the time to look at that woman's background. Take the time to look at that woman's upbringing, and not only how she was raised, but the trauma that she was induced to, or the trauma that she experienced, not only from her father, but her mother as well. Like I said, man, this topic can be heavy. And if I'm being honest with you, it's a lot deep. This actually is going a lot deeper than I thought it would. This is actually going a lot deeper than I thought it would. How many of our women, again, how many of our women have been traumatized by their fathers? Have been abandoned by their fathers? How many? So me being in a space to where I can even speak on this particular topic, I had to do work myself. I had to do work myself. I had to heal that aspect of self. I had to heal my divine feminine. Was it easy? Is it still work to be done? For sure. For sure. I'm still working on that aspect. I'm still healing that aspect of self. I'm still understanding that aspect of self, because we have to understand, right? You know, James Brown came out with the song, It's a Man's World, right? Yeah, politically, you can look at it that way, but realistically, this world is feminine. We are ran, society is feminine. What do we get up every morning to chase? Money. Money is a feminine energy. Especially as men, that's all we talk about. I gotta get to the bag. I gotta get to the bag. You dig what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it's a feminine energy. Art, creation is feminine. No matter what we do, no matter what you do, whether it be music, whether it's acting, whatever that may be, creating a business, you have to be creative. To create a business and scale a business, you have to be creative. It is a feminine energy. It's a feminine energy, right? And a lot of us are unsuccessful in business. A lot of us are unsuccessful in career. A lot of us are unsuccessful in relationships with women because we have not healed that aspect of self. We haven't healed that aspect of self. Man, last year, right? You know, I've always loved the goddesses. I've always loved, you know, those warrior goddesses of the Orisha, and as well as the Loa, right? When it comes to voodoo. And I've always worked with it. You know, actually, if I'm being honest with you, when the Orisha came to me, it was Oshun and Yemeya who came to me first. So I've always loved that aspect of those energies, right? They've always welcomed me with open arms. But last year, Oshun called to me, and it was such an intense calling. She really wanted to work with me. Like, she wanted to be with me. And it was such a beautiful feeling to know that not only did she want to help me, she truly wanted to be with me, right? So the more I worked with that energy, because I couldn't help but to surrender to that calling and actually answer that calling, right? I mean, what else was I gonna do? What else was I gonna do? Right? So the more I worked with that energy, more goddesses started to come through. Erzuli Freda was one of them. Oya was one of them. And what I've learned by connecting with those goddesses, right? They showed me the feminine aspects of self. They showed me the feminine aspects of self, right? And where I needed to heal that feminine aspects of self. There was a lot of shit that I had to heal emotionally. There was a lot of shit that I had to heal emotionally as a man. The things that made me angry, I cried about. When in the past, I would express that in anger. But working with them, they broke me down. They broke that ego down. Because as men, crying makes us weak, right? Being emotional about something. And we forget that anger is an emotion within itself. Anger is an emotion within itself, right? I had to heal that aspect of self, man. And I was better for it. Feeling as though that it's not masculine to express myself in an artistic way. Feeling as though that it's not masculine to express myself in that way. And man, I know somebody has a similar experience, man. Excuse me. I know someone has a similar experience. I know some of y'all can relate and resonate with that experience, especially if you were raised a certain way. I had to heal that aspect of self, man. I really did. Being a nurturer, being a man, I got 2 younger siblings, man. You know, love them to death. And I've always been in a space to where, you know, being an older brother, I've always been in a space to where I've had to cook for them and look after them in a sense, right? That's always been the case. Even as adults, I'm still doing it. And I mean, I'm a Cancer moon anyway, so I have that nurturing aspect of self. So I've always had to be connected to my divine feminine. I've always had to be connected to my divine feminine. Because it made me a better artist. It made me a better brother. And just being able to be in a space to where, like I said, man, my little sister, man, and this is gonna be a little personal, right? My little sister has always come to me, and there would be times to where we talk for literally hours. Like, it got to the point to where we would literally have to put on a movie. We would literally have to put on a movie or, you know what I'm saying? Like some type of form of entertainment, because we knew that we were going to be in that space to where we go be talking for a little minute. We go be talking for, you know what I'm saying? And being able to connect with her in that sense, knowing that she, you know, she don't, man, you know, my sister, she doesn't have any, obviously we don't have any other sisters, right? So it's always been us. It's always been us. But again, the more I connect with my divine feminine, the more I'm able to not only relate to her, but actually guide her promptly. That's why this is so important. to me, that's why this is so important, to be in a space to where you're able to do that. You're able to connect with that other half of yourself. And again, I'm still working on that. I'm extremely imperfect. I'm still working on that. And as of recently, I've had to almost visualize what that half of myself even looks like. Because as people, as you know, spiritual beings having a human experience, we always look at the opposite sex. We look at it, we search for that outside of ourselves. But what is that? What if we put ourselves in a position to where we visualize what that version of self looks like to you personally? What do they sound like? What do they feel like? What do they look like? You have to put yourself in an aspect, right? And there are so many women right now, man. I want to speak to the women right now too, right? I want to speak to the women for a second, right? Because I know it's a lot of sisters out there right now who are in a space of masculinity, or they feel as though they have to be in a space of masculinity. Embrace that. Embrace that. But at the same token, I want you to give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to be feminine. Give yourself permission to hurt and to feel. It's okay to be emotional, because the sad part about this society, man, especially in the so-called black community, a lot of our little girls, little black girls, are told that they're too emotional. They doing too much. Too many of our black women have been told that. And look at the result of that. Look at the result of it. And I know this is going to go over a lot of people's heads, man. I know this is going to go over a lot of people's heads. It's going to go over a lot of people's heads, man, and I know it. Because of how we've been programmed. Because of how we've been programmed. Give yourself permission to be in a space of comfort. Make yourself comfortable as a woman. Right? Be in a space to where you can envision what that masculine aspect of self feels like. How does he speak to you? How does he make you feel comfortable? How does he make you feel wanted and empowered? Put yourself in that scenario and watch how empowered you feel. And this is why I always encourage a lot of individuals to work with not only, especially the women, right? To work with not only the goddesses like Oshun, Yemeya, Oya, Obanani, which is one that people rarely talk about as Obanani, right? I always encourage that. I'm always gonna encourage that because of course they want to connect with that energy, right? But connect with those warriors as well. Ogun, Shango, Obatana, Eshu, Achosi. Because they can empower you as well. They can show you the same way I can work with Oshun, the same way I can work with Oya, and they can show me that aspect of self that is divine feminine. This is the same way that those warriors, those kings, can show you your divine masculine and what areas you need to heal. And what areas you need to heal. And like I said, man, this is a heavy one, man, because this energy or the lack thereof, this conversation, because I don't hear many people having this conversation. I don't hear many people talking about this. And to a certain extent, it's kind of sad. To a certain extent, it's kind of sad. Because as Black men and Black women, we have been affected a great deal by this. I am sick and tired of the back and forth of Black men and Black women on the internet. I am tired of it. We need to have more conversations like this. Yes, as Black melanated men, we have to work and heal and nurture our divine feminine. The same way as Black women have to listen and take guidance and leadership from their divine masculine. All of this is talking about going within, not outside of yourself. You have to go within first. You have to understand that aspect of self from within first. You have to go within. You can't search for this outside of yourself. This is why so many people struggle in relationships, man. This is why a lot of us are struggling in relationships. But hey, you know, these are just my opinions, man. I may be wrong about all of this. I may not be talking about nothing for real. I don't know. Maybe I need to go deeper so that we can truly grasp the concept of what I'm talking about right now. How many men right now are in jail right now because they couldn't control their fucking emotions? The prison system is full of black men who could not control. Now, granted, there are men who genuinely did not do anything, and there are men who have non-violent offenses, and they're doing damn near 20 to 30, 40 years, you know what I'm saying, for something minor, right? Yes, we know that the system is rigged. We know that the system is unjust. It's always been unjust, right? But how many men are in prison right now because they could not control their emotions? How many? Because they were not disciplined enough to do so. And I have to hold myself accountable as well because I'm not consistent with that. Just recently, I wanted to crash out. And like I said, man, I'm gonna get personal, right? I'm gonna get personal. I'm 26 years old, man. I'll be 27 in September, right? I didn't start driving until this year, believe it or not. And it was a long battle. I literally just received my license, just passed my driver's test. And I'm proud of myself of doing so, right? But this shit ate at me for at least for the better of, I want to say for the past like 2 to 3 years. Man, it was hurting me. And that voice in the back of my head kept telling me, I kept hearing, you're less of a man. You can't call yourself a man if you don't know how to drive. If you can't even drive. Didn't even know how to change a fucking tire. And I'm not bringing this up to put the blame on myself, to put the blame on anybody, or throw anybody under the bus, right? I'm bringing this up because it was my divine feminine when I connected with that energy that showed me all of the areas and all of the aspects of self that made me masculine. Yes, being a nurturer can make you masculine. Having emotional intelligence makes you masculine. Being creative makes you masculine. Because I'm gonna tell you, man, for a long time I struggled, and I still struggle with jobs. Every time I do an application, I don't ever get hired. It never works out for me. But I've always been damn good at creating a job for myself. Why? Because I'm creative, and I understand that money is an energy, and I have to manifest that mentally before anything else. That's a feminine energy. That's a feminine energy. I had to nurture that half of myself. I had to speak life into that half of myself. And it made me more masculine. It made me more masculine. How I view masculinity was skewed. How I viewed masculinity was unhealthy. I don't know, man. These are just my experiences. These are my feelings, and these are my thoughts. Not everybody may share them, but this is what's helped me. This has empowered me a great deal. And being a representative of Shango, right? And this is something that he learned from Obatala, right? Because Obatala represents both masculine and feminine as well. Shango is so connected to that feminine aspect of self. That's why him and Oshun have a soulmate connection, have a twin soul connection. In every depiction you see of Shango, you see that he's either wearing big bulky hoop earrings, he has on like a damn hair, like a dress type of situation, or he has locks or some type of braids or some type of, and he purposely is depicted in that sense because of the fact that he's connected to his divine feminine. The man is a dancer. He's a dancer and a well-known dancer. This is a 6'7" brolic type of dude who can dance and sing. And again, this is something that I've had to connect back with myself because I'm also a dancer. I'm also a singer. And I understand that can be a feminine energy. That can be such a feminine energy to where, and I used to get made fun of. I used to get roasted for being able to dance. But then it was cats who wanted to be me. It was cats who wish they can move like I move. Till this day. Even at 200 plus, 300 plus pounds, I can still move. You dig what I'm saying? Because I'm still connected to that aspect of self. So man, this is something that I definitely wanted to touch on. This was definitely something that I wanted to, just kind of take the time to give this message. And like I said, man, I just pray that I was able to translate this message promptly, because I feel as though that this is something that needs to be talked about, man. It's hurting us not being able to connect with that other half of self, that aspect of self. It's hurting us. And I'm going to continue to do my work, because I think I would be a walking contradiction if I'm challenging everybody to speak on that aspect or even acknowledge that aspect of self, and I'm not willing to do the work. So I'm going to be studying more. I'm going to be learning more of that aspect of my divine feminine. And just balance it. And it's about balancing that energy. That's truly what it's about. It's about balancing that energy. That's what it's about, man. It's about balancing the energy, and you do it in such a way. You do it with grace. Do it with grace. And I'm telling you, man, watch how abundant you will be. Abundant in love. Abundant in prosperous. Financially. Watch how your life takes a shift. Watch how the more you connect with that opposite aspect of self, right? So many of us are looking for husbands and wives and partners or whatever the case may be, right? Watch how that energy manifests in the physical the more you work with that energy. And of course, there are going to be challenges, but as a man, and I can speak for as a man, I can speak from my own experiences, you're going to be able to handle that situation promptly. Because it is not masculine to be closed off emotionally. It is not masculine to not create a safe space for your partner, for your woman. It's not masculine for you not to show up for your child. And it's because a lot of men have been so disconnected with that aspect of themselves that they see no problem in that. Too many of us feel as though that's okay to create a victim. It's not okay. It's not okay, man. So like I said, man, I definitely wanted to give this message and translate this message. I'm gonna go ahead and end it right here. I just wanted to come on here and actually express that, and I'm looking forward to engaging with you guys in the comments and just seeing the feedback and hearing your thoughts on this particular topic. You know what I'm saying? So as always, again, my My link to my website will be in the description if you would like to go ahead and check out my website and just kind of check out all of the services that I provide, right? And again, you guys can find me on Instagram and TikTok at the Satrilrose. Again, Instagram and TikTok at the Satrilrose. Feel free to DM me if you're looking to receive any of my spiritual services, whether it be divination, spiritual coaching, whether it be, also receiving your alekes through me as well. You know what I'm saying? Any spell workings, whatever the case may be, I am available for those services. So feel free to connect with me. Feel free to visit my website. And I'm looking forward to connecting with y'all, man. Love always.